Going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about the NBA season. Now, after the first 30 games, the Boston Celtics are 28-8. They are the only team that is remaining in the NBA that has single digits in the loss column. Now, I have placed the Boston Celtics as far as one of the top tier teams, if not the top tier team in the NBA. I have the Boston Celtics and the Denver Nuggets in a place all by themselves, and then you have those second round teams with Boston. I mean, not with Boston, but excuse me, with Milwaukee. But one thing about Milwaukee, they have got to improve their defense. You are one of the top offenses in the NBA, but you can't defend on the defensive end. The Milwaukee Bucks have too many defensive lapses, and that is going to hurt them in the playoffs because you need to defend in order to win in the playoffs. In order to win a championship, you need to defend, stop somebody. So that's all I got for the Milwaukee Bucks. They are at the second spot in the Eastern Conference. I see Boston and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. But the only thing that'll keep the Milwaukee Bucks from being in the conference finals is their defense. Their defense is atrocious. And so that's all I have on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Philadelphia 76ers, what can we make of them? They are one of those the Philadelphia 76ers are one of those teams that are not a bottom feeder team, but they are one of those dark horse teams. You think that they gonna do something, and then when it's time for them to deliver, they don't do nothing. So with Philadelphia, they are in the third spot in the East. Can they stay there, or can they increase? Well, the highest the 76ers are going to get is the third spot, because I don't see them leapfrogging the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't. And with as far as the New York Knicks, it's every year with them. They have a good regular season, but when they go to the playoffs, they fold under pressure. We saw it last year, and I think with the New York Knicks, they gonna fold under pressure this year. You hear that, Stephen A? Your New York Knicks is gonna fold under pressure this year. Somebody please give a shout out to Stephen A. Smith for me to let him know his Knicks ain't going to win the championship. They not gonna win the championship. That's all I got for the New York Knicks. As far as the Miami Heat, they're not as strong as they were last season, but that's all a part of the Heat culture. The Heat culture is having grit, grind the games out to the end and win those close games. And that's basically what Miami has done throughout the entirety of this season. Win a whole lot of close games. They don't blow teams out. They just win close games when they need to win them. And that's all I have for the Eastern Conference. Now the Western Conference. There are a lot of surprising teams in the Western Conference. I'm gonna start off now. The Minnesota Timberwolves. I didn't expect them to be number one in the Western Conference final. I mean, in the Western Conference, excuse me. And another thing, you have the Thunder, which is also exceeding expectations. They may be in the Western Conference Finals, depending on how everything else shape up in the Western Conference. Then you have the defending champions at the third spot. Now, the defending champions, they are tied with the same exact amount of wins as the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I give the Denver Nuggets the number one spot just because they have a win per well Minnesota has a win percentage better than Denver, but we already know regular season regular season is just a marathon for the NBA playoffs. It's not a sprint. So those three teams that I just said, I expected Denver to still at the same, or if not get even better, coming off of last season's championship run. I expected them to be right in the thick of things. But the surprising teams are the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We didn't expect them to be 1-2 in the Western Conference Final. I mean, in the Western Conference. Why I keep on saying Western Conference Finals? I'm sorry. So now the next team I want to talk about is the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers, they've gained some ground over the last month and a half. I said James Harden, he has accepted his role in that offense. And I said that for James Harden, what he needs to do, a good stat line average for him is 18-6. As of right now, he is at 17-6. So I was right there on my prediction. So I give myself a pat on the back. But as far as the Clippers, we've seen this from the Clippers every year for the last, I'd say, 10, 12 years. They start off the season great. Then they get into the playoffs, and then they fold under pressure. It happened with Blake Griffin. It happened with Chris Paul. It's even happened with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So it's inevitable that it's going to happen again, because I don't know whether the Clippers just have bad luck or they get to the threshold and don't know how to produce and crumble under the pressure. So that's all I have for the Los Angeles Clippers. The next team I want to talk about, a young and upcoming team. As far as last year, I said that, but this year they gaining some ground. The Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings. What can you say about them? They're a young, upcoming team. They are winning close games, and plus they have a streaky shooter, De'Aaron Fox. In the last 2 minutes of the game, he comes through. He comes through throughout the clutch, and he comes through when it's pressure packed moments. There was a lot of times last year where De'Aaron Fox, he came through in those pressure packed moments. I expect for De'Aaron Fox to come through in those pressure packed moments again this year, even when they do make the playoffs. So that's all I have for the Sacramento Kings. The next team I want to talk about is the New Orleans Pelicans. This all comes back to what one person is going to do on the floor for the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion Williamson. What are you going to do? We want you to succeed. We want you to be great. We want you to win championships. We want you to bring the New Orleans Pelicans from the bottom all the way up to the top. But you got to want it for yourself. You can't be going throughout. You can't be going in restaurants all throughout New Orleans and eating the entire table. He needs to be on a health kit. He is, from what I'm hearing, his weight, he's 300 plus pounds. If somebody can work with Zion Williamson consistently and get him a good weight for him is like maybe 250, 265, get him somewhere like that where he can run up and down the floor and play a full 25 to 30 minutes a game. But he looks rough right now. He is wore. I mean, he can't even run up and down the court without being hunched over and breathing. That comes out with conditioning. The Pelicans, they need to get them a new conditioning coach. Maybe Zion Williamson's agent needs to assign him a conditioning coach for his time off and stuff, because it is not looking too good for Zion Williamson. Everybody else on the Pelicans team is doing their due diligence, and they keeping the Pelicans above water right now. Now they at the 6th spot. Can they stay in the 6th spot? Maybe. But if you had a healthy Zion Williamson, you would be one of the top 4 teams in the Western Conference Finals if you're the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, that's all I'm saying. You get Zion Williamson, you get him on a health kit, you get him up and down the floor, making plays consistently, night in and night out basis, and the Pelicans, they'll be a top 4 team for sure. So that's all I got for the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the last 3 teams I want to get to, the last 3 teams I want to get to is it's 4 teams, excuse me. The last 4 teams is the Phoenix Suns, Los Angeles Lakers, Golden State Warriors, and Memphis Grizzlies. Now, for the Phoenix Suns, I'm hearing that Kevin Durant, he might want to trade. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's true. But if it is true, you give up your entire bench. Phoenix Suns, they gave up their entire bench just for Kevin Durant. And now Kevin Durant wants to leave. Oh my God, that don't look too good for the Phoenix Suns. What hurt them last year in the playoffs was they didn't have a bench. They only had 5 starters, and the starters had to carry the entire team. And that's what it's gonna be like this year. You don't have a good bench. The Phoenix Suns bench is probably one of the worst in the NBA. Last time I checked, they was 23rd in the NBA. They was 23rd in the NBA. So you only have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and you have your power forward and center, which is really only your offensive. That's the only 5 people that you have to give you an offensive punch. But where the Phoenix Suns lose their games at is their bench. Maybe they need to do something before the trade deadline. The trade deadline, it expires in about another month. In another month, it expires. To be exact, February the 11th. The trade deadline expires February the 11th, Phoenix Suns. What y'all need to do is trade away maybe 2 or 3 players to get you some good bench players, because if you're trying to make it to the playoffs and go further in the playoffs than you did last year, you are going to need a bench. And you don't have a bench right now. So that's all I got for the Phoenix Suns. The next team I want to talk about is the Los Angeles Lakers. In-season tournament up until now, you won the in-season tournament. Now it's time to get back. It's time to get back to business. To the Lakers. Darvin Ham, you need to find out what lineup is great for you, because you switching in and out of lineups and you got that. Now credit. LeBron, he's still doing his thing. Anthony Davis, he playing decent. I'm gonna give him credit. He playing decent. Now you just need a bench and those other four guys on. Now you need those other three guys on the floor in the starting lineup to produce. All you yeah other those other three guys on the line on those other three guys in the lineup, they need to produce. Austin Reeves, he's going through a shooting slump. D'Angelo Russell, he going through a shooting slump. From what I hear, has LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell, it seems like they haven't talked in a little bit. Who knows? It may be it's some tension going on in the locker room, and currently the Lakers are at the 10th spot at 19-19, 500. If they want to make the playoffs, and even if they just want to make the playoffs, I'm not even talking about the Western Conference Finals now. If they just to make the playoffs, they are gonna have to go through. I'm gonna say they're gonna have to tread water or go through hell and high water just to make it to the playoffs. Now, as far as right now, they would, if the season ended today, the Lakers would be in the play-in tournament, and they would be playing the Rockets. And we already know how the Rockets they beat the Lakers earlier in the season by 30. So that's not going to be a good matchup for the Lakers. The next team I want to talk about is the Golden State Warriors. Well, what can you say about the Warriors? The Warriors, they are in a tough spot right now, a slump, whatever you want to call it. Because you got Steph Curry. I mean, shooting the lights out of the arena every game. You got Draymond, which credit to him, he a good player. He's still up and down when it comes to his stats on the offensive side of the ball. Klay Thompson, I don't know whether that's whether he's going through a shooting slump or his career has hit a speed bump. But with Klay Thompson, it seems like it's not a guarantee. When he shoots the ball, it's not a guarantee that it's going in anymore. I don't know whether it's because of his injuries or what, but when Klay Thompson used to shoot the ball about 4 or 5 years ago, it was almost automatic. It was going in. But now he's going through a shooting slump. I'm hearing that he might be up. His name is in trade talks before the trade deadline. Hopefully he doesn't get traded by the Warriors. And the Warriors, they are not going to trade Klay Thompson. Mark my words. The Warriors are not going to trade Klay Thompson. So whatever y'all are hearing out there about Klay Thompson going to this team, that team, it's all false. It is all false. But the Warriors, they got to get better as an all-around team. They do. If they want to make the playoffs, they got to win more. They need more scores, more consistent scores outside of Steph Curry. And that's all I have for the Warriors. The next and final team I want to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, for the Memphis Grizzlies, they've been on a winning streak. They've won their last 3 games. Now, yesterday, I heard that Ja Morant has a season-ending injury. So, Grizzlies, they are out of the playoffs already. They dug themselves too much into a hole early into the season. But with Ja Morant coming back, it seemed like that he had got his feet up under him, and like I said, they've won the last 3 games. But then to hear some news like that about an injury from him yesterday, oh my goodness, it puts a damper on as the NBA as a whole as far as revenue. Like when somebody watches a Memphis Grizzlies game now, you're not gonna see Ja Morant because he's gonna be injured. The Memphis Grizzlies, they might be that the next month and a half, it'll show people what can the Grizzlies win without Ja Morant. Now they have won 3, maybe 4 games here and there without Ja Morant, but Ja Morant, he is gonna be out for an extended period of time. Can you make the playoffs? I'm not even gonna ask that. Can you make the play-in tournament? Because if you make the play-in tournament, you have a chance at making the playoffs. So, can the Grizzlies make the play-in tournament? It remains to be seen. There are a lot of teams in the Western Conference that have a chance at making the playoffs. Teams 1 through 7 in the Western Conference, they are only separated by 4 games in the win column. So there's a lot of NBA season still left to be played, and with that is my NBA talk for this week. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, the key is always on time.